Let's have a look at one of the problems in 9H. Question 5. A barbecue gas bottle starts with 3.5 kilos of gas, and gas is used at a rate of 0.5 kilos per hour for a long lunch. Write a rule for the mass of gas in terms of time, T. So what we're looking for in our y equals mx plus c, we're looking for where m and c can be positive or negative. First off, we're looking for a negative rise because it's going down. So the value for m will be negative. Value for m will be negative in terms of time. So that's negative 0.5 t, and the constant was 3.5 plus 3.5. So there's our rule. So it's m in terms of gas. Ignore that it's m, but it's the mass in terms of gas, equals 0.5 t, which is time, plus, because it's losing 5.5 kilos per hour. And it starts with 3.5 kilos and loses this at a rate. So it's a negative rise. Negative rise. How long will it take to empty the gas bottle? So there's our rule for in terms of T. So how long will it take to empty the gas bottle? Let's have a look at part B. And back to blue. Look at part B. So how long will it take to empty the gas bottle? So what we're looking for is getting M down to 0. We substitute 0, nothing left. So we want 0 equals negative 0.5 t plus 3.5. Now the way we solve any equation, no matter what the value, is that we subtract the c from both sides and then divide both sides by the m. Don't confuse the m in this instance. I'm going back to this basic format of an equation. So what we're going to do is subtract 3.5 from both sides. So then I have negative 3.5 equals negative 0.5. See, you could write that the other way around if you wanted to, but the next thing is to divide. So we're going to minus, and then we're going to divide. We're going to divide both sides by negative 0.5. So I've got, if I swap that over, I like to work from the left, so I'll put it like this. Negative 0.5 equals negative 3.5. Now we know a negative times a negative, or a negative divided by a negative, equals a positive. So both sides divided by negative 3.5, both sides divided by negative 0.5. And if you get a calculator, or if you divide that out, that is actually t. T equals 7. 7 times 7 5s are 35. 7 times 0.5. 7 times is going to be 3.5 divided by 5. 7 5s are 35. So time will be 7 hours. Time will equal 7 hours. Time will equal 7 hours. Then part C. Let's have a look at part C. Part C. Go back to blue. And back up to here, part C, and it asks us how long will it take for the mass in the gas bottle to reduce to 1.25. So this M, we want 1.25. So that becomes 1.25 equals, right, negative 0.5 C plus 3.5. So what value for time, how long will it take to reduce it down to this amount of mass? So the first thing we're going to do to solve the equation, this is the y equals mx plus or minus c. Here's the c we're going to divide. We're going to subtract out 3.5 from both sides. So we'll minus at both sides. So we end up with this 1.25. It doesn't like that, does it? 1.25. Back to that. Sometimes it knocks on the keyboard. It doesn't like it for some reason. So we've got minus from both sides. So we've got 1.25, 1.25 minus 3.5 equals negative 0.5t. We want to find how long it would take to get it down to 1.25. So we go get our calculator, and that's fairly simple. We're going to be looking at 1.25 minus 3.5. (1.25) minus 3.5, and we end up with negative 2.25. So negative 2.25, negative 2.25 equals, look at that, knocks the keyboard, equals 0.5t. So we divide both sides by 0.5, and so you've got negative 2.25 divided by negative 0.5 equals t. So t equals, and you divide that, t equals 4.5 hours. 4.5 hours. Okay, so what we're asked to do was to have a look at the barbecue gas bottle. Starts with 3.5 kilos of gas, and it reduces at a rate when it's burning of 0.5 kilos per hour. So that's a negative rise. So that's a negative rise. Write a rule for it in terms of M. So the mass equals 0.5 times T plus 3.5. That's what we started with, and it's going down. Each time we've got a constant term here. If we were going to graph this, this is the C, and it would cut the y-axis at 3.5. That's where it would start, because when this equals 0, right? When that equals 0. So 3.5. Now we're going to look at this. There's our equation, our rule. How long will it take for the gas bottle to empty? That means you want 0 mass left in it. So we substitute like we would for an x and y intercept. Substitute y equals 0. So I've got 0 equals 0.5 t plus 3.5. And to solve my equation, I will subtract both 3.5 from both sides. So then after I've got that, negative 3.5 equals negative 0.5. Divide both sides by negative 0.5. And I end up with 7 hours take. Now, how long will it take it to get to 1.25 kilos? I'm using the same process. 1.25 equals 0.5 t plus 3.5. So minus 3.5 from both sides, and I've done that. I get negative 2.25, and then I divide both sides by negative 0.5, and it takes 4.5 hours to reduce it down to 1.25 kilos.